Hello there all. Another week, another glorious trip to good old Nilbog. So, I think we should be done with a lot of our preparation work this time around. We're not gonna have... I mean, the fortress itself is still gonna be pretty cluttered up, but by the end of this video, I promise you there will be much less mining needing to be done. I believe I actually had nearly 50 minutes, so as you can see, a lot of it got cut because there was just absolutely nothing going on for so much time. So we're still digging away, kind of just showing off the fact that my miners are terribly slow and still going at it. There is a lot of stuff to be done still. You notice I keep kind of poking around at them too to show off the fact that they have terribly poor setups as far as what they need to mine next. I don't know why they quite just kind of wander around and do that, but they do, and it's kind of aggravating sometimes. So, checking on to make sure I had set the bookkeeper to actually bookkeep, because it's kind of an important skill. Well, it's important that it is actually set properly, otherwise the skill itself kind of is entirely wasted. So, I come through here. I do need to clear these out. I think I can get rid of that one, yep. And I'm still kind of waiting on the wood that's up here up top to get transported down before I get rid of the carpentry shop up here. Just showing off that there are indeed some bees in our beehives, which doesn't really do much for us right now. I also generally turn off the gather, do not gather. I don't like to gather right away, especially early on. I mean, I let them build up a little bit before I start harvesting them. I would also like to get a good, 5 more hives out there before I actually start harvesting, but that is on the list. So you can see that little jump that just happened was me actually naming all the dwarves, and this is our current lot that we've got all named up. Don't grow attached to too many of them just yet though, folks, because well, we might be losing one, and you will soon see. Well, alright, you won't soon see, it'll be a ways in, but you'll see at some point during this video what I'm talking about. Now, I believe I start searching around because I'm like, well, you know what, I do need sand, and I thought it said that I had sand at this location, but so far I have not actually seen any, and I don't believe there is actually any here, sadly. I'm just kind of checking walls, because I don't play this any time outside of when I'm recording, so I don't really, have any. I'm trying not to, predict the future as far as what I'm gonna do next and what needs to be done. I always know exactly what I need to build, but I don't know, exactly what's gonna happen, where or what is, that sort of thing. So there is kind of a bit of some filler in this episode. I mean, I'm just kind of showing off some of the things that not all the structures and stuff that I'm building, but I'm kind of showing off the layouts for the stockpiles and such here and there. I almost always will dump the blocks out of the square once I set the stockpile. I really kind of hate having the rocks hanging about. What generally happens is that a lot of your goods will be stacked there in the same squares with the rocks, and then it is a bit harder to count what all you've got there, how full a stockpile is just by looking at it. I also entirely forgot that I needed a butcher's shop right outside the turkey pens. It's not going to come into play just yet because, well, they still have probably a good year before they are big enough to butcher, but I, kind of need to prepare for that ahead of time instead of waiting for it to come. Like the Trade Depot debacle of last episode. Which actually kind of comes into play in this one, and you'll see here at some point. I'm just kind of checking on, again, still checking on these miners, because they're going a little bit faster, but they're not quite as quick as they should be. And I kind of cut there so I can, just put out the layout for the next block of Dwarf apartments. And I didn't, connect it to the actual, or the mine designation isn't connected to the rest of the floor yet, because I want them to finish the jobs that they already have before they, start more work. Because they will chase off after new areas and never complete anything if I give them more tasks to do. Now, I do kind of prefer, as you saw, and you'll see a couple more times, I know a lot of people kind of just give their dwarves maybe like 4 squares or maybe even 6. I prefer to give them anywhere from, 8 and up spaces per apartment. Sometimes I'll go with 6 just to make it easier, but I kind of like to have my dwarves with some decent amount of room. I also was kind of just checking the amount of eggs and meals I've got there, because right now those prepared meals are the only food that my dwarves have. And I'm kind of showing off the location of where my future wells will go, because I'm going to kind of channel the river or brook or whatever we've got going on over to that space that's I just pointed out. But anyway, I do like to give my dwarves more space, because it's just more fun that way. I mean, I don't really want my fortress to be just this like number crunching, game of efficiency that's not really all that fun. And I don't know if you caught it there real quick but I was showing off the fact that the miners are now up to legendary status with their mining abilities, and you can tell by their blinking names. So once they hit legendary status, that means that they are awesome at their jobs. As far as that goes for miners, that means that they can mine extremely fast, and you can tell just how fast they have a definite speed upgrade from what they had earlier. And this is with the basic copper picks. They would actually go even faster if they had better tools. Granted, not by much, but still, if I had the forethought to prepare them with better gear, we would have some awesome mining jobs going on. So now that the main hall is now dug out, I can set that all to dump as well, so we can clear that out and actually start to carve it up and make a hall out of it. And I believe it's this point right here. Yeah, I noticed that there's a dwarf in here on top of Marine Corps, and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Turns out that that's not just one of the fortress goers, that's the trade liaison from like 2 seasons ago. He is still hanging about the fortress because he has not completed his task. I don't know why. It's not like, I don't think he's been so busy that he hasn't been able to complete the meeting yet. I mean, it would have happened already. So I give Marine Corps an office, and immediately, apparently that's all he required. And he's not even at the office either. It's just the knowledge that he has an office now to work from. Immediately he can now do his trade liaison duties and tell our dudes what they need to bring. So, just in case you haven't seen the tutorials or don't know what's going on here, this is essentially the demand screen. It kind of lets you set what your projected demands for your fortress are, and essentially if the fort or if your civilization can bring you that kind of material, the more priority you set it as, the more likely they are to bring it, because they will actually get more of a cut of your production. Essentially it increases the price of the good that they bring you increase the priority, the demand of it. So what happens is I generally always ask for more logs, more alcohol, and more coal. Even if I have coal on site, I will always request them to bring coal. Generally because, well, lately I haven't had much luck with them bringing too much, so it's always just kind of paid off to have them bring whatever they can bring to you. But this is also how you get sand and clay. If you do not have those in your embark area, you kind of have to request your liaison to bring them to you, because outside of some kind of magic event, you're not going to get any sort of clay or sand in an area that doesn't already have it, obviously. So we're jumping around looking for people, and there's our miners once again, finally getting up here to clear out some of the area. And this screen here shows you what your fortress will receive in exchange next time the caravans come around. It kind of gives you a goal as to what best to produce to get the most value out of your trade. So as you saw, prepared meals, I believe figurines. I don't remember if those are stone crafting or if it's like toys. I'll have to look that up a little bit before the next video. And spring has arrived. We've already spent one whole year in old No Bog here, and as you can see, not much has changed. We are still in the digging process. Yep, they went down there, knocked out a few more blocks, and then came back up to knock out some more blocks up here. Wonderfully efficient, guys. I applaud your work. And the wonderful thing is, off they go again to start here. Why? Why do they do this? I just wish I knew why. Alright, so cut ahead a bit there to, well, they finally cleared that space out, and, ooh, hey, Mr. Mert has made a masterwork. You made a masterwork bed, in fact, which I'm sure somebody will sleep in eventually. I don't think I've placed it yet, but he has created it. And I always add some rock crafts just in case crafts were what produced the figurines. I think it might be toys, but again, not gonna swear to that. I have no clue what I'm looking for now. I think I was trying to look to see what he had actually produced as masterwork. If you had noticed down there, there was the comment that somebody had been interrupted by a bull yak, or yak bull, and I was like, okay, is it somebody wandering around up here and one of them got angry or something? Nope, and it happens again. So I'm checking, who the hell is this? But it's this guy, and I look down here and there's blood all over the place. All the way down to the watering hole, and there's just this angry dwarf chasing after what appears to be a yak. So I unpause it, and sure enough, there he goes, chasing after it. Bob the Gamer is apparently mad at yaks. So yaks have an awful lot of blood, 'cause he just has released it all over the countryside as he ran away. And then once he's done maiming this yak, he goes back down to drink. So kudos to you. And we cut up here and we notice, hey, look, somebody's actually building the trade depot this time around. We might actually get a trade in this time. So, as you can see here, Operation drowned rat is getting closer to completion as time passes. You can tell, well, I don't know if you can actually tell too big of a difference, but usually the soil types that don't leave behind well, none of the soil types leave behind rock, but what I'm saying is that the ones that don't leave behind rock are actually much quicker to mine out as far as clearing spaces goes. So if you're ever digging in actual soil terrain, if you really need to dig out a large area quick, the soil areas are always the easiest to do. Oh, what else? What else is going on? Still waiting on something to happen, mostly for this. I think I start work on the floodgate, and the lever will come in soon afterwards. And wonderful, there's another cat in the room. Yes, thank you. So once this gets completed here, we will start sending our mechanic up to install the levers. And I know I've got a mechanic because I've already set them. Oh, ooh, more migrants. Interesting. So I kind of cut ahead there because I definitely did not want to show off sorting through the. We had what, 3 different trainers. No, 2 trainers, a dissector, and a trapper, all of which are entirely useless to us right now. So yeah, this was pretty much a big waste of time wave that came in here. So I, cut out all the assigning random jobs. Well, not random jobs, but assigning new jobs to the new fortresses, as it were. It wasn't really all that interesting, so there's no point in showing that off. I haven't named them yet, and I will wait until next video, I'm sure, to start naming them again. I'll have to dig up the list that I have to see where I stopped off at. In fact, I believe I stopped off with Hellfire 63. I am kind of steering away from, and I kind of apologize for it, but I really just don't like the usernames with a bunch of numbers at the end, or just inside of it at all. I mean, those numbers hopefully mean something to you guys who are using them. I just, it's just a habit, I guess. It's one of those things. So I mean, I'm thinking maybe that unless somebody wants to speak up and say otherwise, I'll probably just kind of trim those numbers off the ends of your guys' names from this point on. I'm not going to get you guys confused with the, 1,000 other guys with your names prior. But no, essentially, I only had 4 or 5 migrants from last time that I had to rename, so that's not a big deal. This wave was more like 8 to 10, so I kind of have to make sure I have a good amount of names, and it's kind of difficult to get my subscriber names off the YouTube page. Like, I can't mouse over them without it like bringing up this giant remove button. And I really don't want to remove anybody. I just want to see the actual names. Oh, I can't do that. Right, well, let's see, what else do we got planned here? I've got turkeys still. Oh yes, wonderful. This is the dilemma as it stands. As you see, Hellfire 63 has taken a Fey mood, which normally would be a great thing, except for the fact that, as you can see, he's a glass maker. Glassmakers are one of those ones. It's unless you prepare for it at Embark, which I probably should have, knowing this game. Unless you've got a real close by source of sand and you've already prepared for glass making, glass makers are generally one of the worst ones you can get the moods on right away, just because the likelihood of you having the raw materials to give this guy what he needs right off the bat is usually slim to none, unless you prepare for it ahead of time, which of course I did not. Silly me. So as you can tell, I didn't even have I had neither a gem station nor a glass furnace. Now, while as the gem cutter station, or the jeweler's bench, or whatever you want to call it, isn't necessary, because again, he is a glass maker, 9 times out of 10 they also want a cut gem of some stupid make, quality, whatever. I mean, it's almost mandatory that they have need for jewels of some sort, so I just knew I was going to need to create both. The biggest issue is I don't think I have anybody to actually produce raw glass, nor do I have any, well, scratch that. It's easy to get somebody to make raw glass. You can always give any yokel glass making to produce raw glass for your somebody who's in a mood. The issue is at this point actually getting the material to work with, the sand, and I do not believe I actually have sand on this map, even though I came into this thinking I did. I believe there's like sandy loam and sandy clay, and I don't think either of them count as actual sand, unfortunately. So essentially the rest of the video is this like rush to try to get this guy taken care of, or well, try to get his mood utilized, because you really don't want to waste the mood if you can help it. The only big headache is the fact that, I'm sitting here going, well, I don't have sand. There's no way I'm going to get sand in or get raw glass for this guy before he goes crazy. But I want to get him at least down and into the workshop, regardless of whether or not he goes crazy. I mean, having him up working, moving around, and doing that stuff can kind of delay his, descent into madness. And at least I can get him down and figure out what he needs if I hit the right key and, get over there. And of course he wants cut gems from raw green glass. Of course. Cut gems, again, pretty easy to fix up. You can always give any old gem crafter, or anybody actually gem crafting or gem cutting for, a brief amount of time, just to get that one gem cut and then, move on with their lives. It's always the raw green glass that gets me. It used to be shells. Shells were like the big everything, everybody wanted shells for everything, and if you didn't start with them at Embark, you were boned. But now for me it's usually raw green glass. I forget what I was doing, why I did that. I was just trying to get them out of the way or something. I don't know what I was doing. Oh, I actually got another miner on that wave of immigrants. I don't know why, it just seemed so rare. I never, oh well, I won't say never, but I hardly ever get miners, which is one of those things I wish would come more often in the initial immigrant waves. They are so necessary. There's so much demand for mining at the early set of the game, and yet you'll get all, well, it is entirely random, but I mean, I'll just get so much worthless stuff that it's just a headache. So I was trying to find a spot where I could actually gather sand, because I kind of was hoping that that would count there, but it did not, and I kind of figured it didn't. And then I was like, well, sandy clay is the only other thing I see in the area. I don't see any other sand walls of any sort. And so I eventually sent some guys over to mine up or mine a spot of the sandy clay wall, and just to give it a test. I'm about 75% sure that that does not count as sand, so no, I'll bump that up. I'm gonna say it's about 85% sure that it's not sand. So, yeah, my real problem is the fact that I'm probably going to have a nutso dwarf here shortly. Well, not shortly, but before I can, actually get him taken care of. If I'm lucky, maybe I'll get another caravan to show up. Maybe the elves. Well, elves, I don't think often carry sand with them, but maybe humans will show up. Who knows? I'm hoping somebody will show up and I can get that stuff taken care of. Like I said, I really don't want to lose a dwarf, especially a moo this early. But the glass makers are generally the worst ones to start out with. I mean, when you're not prepared for it, or when you don't, actually get everything set into place right from the beginning. Ugh. Well, anyway, guys, this has been Ampillion. I hope you guys have a good one.